Hello, welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about what I watched in January regarding films and TV series and my thoughts on them and why I decided to watch those. This isn't in any kind of order because I forgot to write down what order I've been reading these, watching these all in. I do have a Letterboxd which I will link below. I don't write reviews really anymore, but I just use it mainly as a tool to track what I'm watching, and I really like the app. Yeah, so the main TV series I watched this month was The Midnight Club on Netflix. I didn't realise when I started it that it had already been cancelled. All I knew was that it had come out in, I think it was October, and I'd wanted to watch it and I hadn't got around to it because I was trying to watch 31 horror films in October. I really enjoyed it. I loved the characters. I believe it is a Mike Flanagan piece of work, and I really like his TV series, I really like his films. I loved the characters in it. I thought they were all fantastic. They were so well developed. I was invested in each one of their stories. I really liked the overarching plot themes and plot lines. I really was so upset to find out there wouldn't be a series 2. And so I researched into it afterwards, and the storylines that they're talking about that they would have done was so good. I'm really devastated that they didn't get a second series. I'm hoping Netflix might change their mind. I doubt it though, but I'm really glad I watched it. I would definitely recommend it. I would say even though there were cliffhangers, I feel like it still worked as like a pretty self-contained sort of thing. I know that when they made it obviously with the intention to get series 2, but I feel like even though there are unanswered questions, I don't feel like I'm devastated by the fact there won't be another series. Like, I am, because I really enjoyed it, but I don't feel like I could understand the plotline without it being overarching, you know. Like, if they had killed Stranger Things like in the middle of series 3 or something, it would be different because that plotline hasn't been concluded. I feel like a lot of the plotlines had been concluded to a point where it would make sense, if that makes sense. So I definitely rewatched The Midnight Club. I definitely recommend it. I'm really upset it's not getting series 2. So I had some friends over for a movie day and we watched a few films, and 2 of those films were Barbarian and Signs. I've watched both of these films before. I love both of these films. I watched Barbarian for the first time on Halloween in a cinema, and it was such an incredible cinema experience. Because I went in completely blind. All the people in the cinema with me had gone in completely blind, and so there were loads of gasps and oh my god, and you just have no idea where it's going. I felt as if it didn't hold up as much to me on a rewatch. When it came out and I'd watched it, I was like obsessed with it. I loved it so much, and I looked up loads of trivia about the film, and I listened to some interviews with the director, the writer-director, and on the rewatch I could kind of see the choices that he had made. I still think it's a fantastic film, Barbarian. I still would give it like a 4 out of 5. I really enjoy it. I think it's really fun. I wish there were more horror films that just allowed themselves to be fun instead of serious. But unfortunately I don't think it held up as much. One film I did think really held up on a rewatch though was The Menu. So like Barbarian, The Menu is on Disney Plus. And the reason I was inspired to rewatch it was because I came across a load of TikToks on my For You page by this girl called Lucky Lefty. Well, her username is Lucky Lefty, but her name comes up as Lefty. And she made such well made, like well-intentioned, well-researched analysis posts that I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to rewatch it and see what I think. And it really does. I feel like it holds up really well on a rewatch. I feel like I took a lot more from it on the rewatch. I really enjoyed it. I definitely feel like it's going to be one I'll go back to. I think it's also cinematically beautiful. I really like how it's shot. And I feel like there's a lot of very good performances, not only in the main actors such as Ralph Fiennes and Anya Taylor-Joy, because she's great in everything, isn't she? But also in the background characters. There's just so much on a rewatch you go back and you look for in the background, the details in the background, and it works so well. I'm really pleased I rewatched it. I'd say it's probably another 4 out of 5, but I feel like this is going to be one that builds on every rewatch. So when I had my friends over, we rewatched Signs. I've been wanting to rewatch Signs for a long time. I don't think my friends had ever watched it. I've watched it multiple times, but not for a few years, not since early before the pandemic. At least 2019 was probably the last time I rewatched Signs. And I really like Signs. I think I think M. Night Shyamalan gets like a lot of hate as a director. And yes, some of his films are a bit goofy and sometimes the plot twists don't always work. I feel like in Signs it works really well, especially especially if you go into it with the idea that the aliens aren't aliens. I personally see them as demons. I think that makes more sense with the plot line and the character arcs in the film. And then me and my friends, we spoke about it afterwards and they were like, oh yeah, because them being aliens doesn't always make sense. I really like M. Night Shyamalan as a director, to be honest. I think he gets a lot more hate than he's due. I feel like it became almost like a trend in the way to hate on M. Night Shyamalan's films. And yes, some of his films aren't great, but I really still like The Village. I think The Village is actually is decent. And I'm really excited for his next film, Knock at the Cabin. I think it's called Knock at the Cabin. And the book is like The Cabin at the End of the World. I keep getting them conflated. I keep going The Knock at the Cabin at the End of the World, which is a ridiculously long title, so I hope it is just Knock at the Cabin. But I'm really looking forward to seeing that. I really enjoyed Signs on a rewatch. I forgot that it was Mel Gibson and Joaquin Phoenix and Abigail Breslin, so I was really surprised going back into it. It's because I've not rewatched it for a long time, and I feel like they really gel well as like a family unit. I feel like those actors, the 4 actors, because Rory Culkin's in as well, I feel like they really gel very well as a family unit and they're very believable, and that really drives the whole story forward. I only did one cinema trip this month. I expected to do more, but I haven't really been feeling in the mood to go to the cinema, even though there are so many amazing films out at the minute. But the film that I did go to see, talking about all these amazing films, I went to see Megan, the one that's styled as M3GAN. I thought it was so much fun, but I would not have said it was a horror film. And also I really feel like it needed, in the UK it's a 12A, which I believe in America is a PG-13, and I honestly felt like it needed a 15 rating. I felt like it needed to be gorier, it needed to have more horror elements. It was very funny, I had a great time watching it. I wouldn't have said it was a horror film though. It had so many points where it could have been, but it just tipped over in the comedic realm for me. I definitely would rewatch it. I think it'd be a great one for a movie night with friends. I just don't know if I could take it seriously as a horror film. So I'm doing this completely out of order, as we've spoken about, because I can't remember what I watched in order. But I do know that my first film of the year was Knives Out. So I watched Glass Onion with my sister and her partner and my dad over Christmas, and we all really enjoyed it, and it really made me want to watch Knives Out again. So I watched it by myself on like New Year's Day, I think. I really enjoy the film. I think it really holds up. It's another one where you go back and you notice all the details as you rewatch it. I think honestly it's kind of better than Knives Out, than Glass Onion, but I enjoyed it more. But that being said, Glass Onion is a very good film as well, so I'm really glad I rewatched it. I will probably rewatch it at some point. It's got such an amazing cast. Incredible film. I love it so much. It just epitomises like autumn and coziness to me, even though it's a murder mystery. And I love Benoit Blanc. He's fantastic. Give me 100 more films about Benoit Blanc. I think that's right. My camera died and I had to replace the battery, and I now can't get back in the same angle I was in. But I think that's about right. So that's what's happened. There are 2 other films I want to talk about in this January wrap up. So the first one was Coherence. So I found this, I believe, on Amazon Prime. I have Shudder through Amazon Prime, which isn't mine at all. I leech off my sister. But I believe it's just Amazon Prime rather than Shudder. And to me, the plotline sounded very interesting. I thought it was going to be a good time. It sounded a bit to me like Triangle, which I really love. I think it's a fantastic film. I believe it has Samara Weaving in it. I didn't particularly enjoy coherent. I got what it was doing with the plot line and everything, the multiple timelines, the multiple doubles. Normally I would really love that kind of thing because, as I said, it's very much like Triangle. I really love Triangle, but for some reason this film, it didn't really gel for me. I found it very hard to follow what was going on. I think because I didn't really have an emotional connection to the characters. I couldn't root for really any of them, and I just didn't. I think that's the reason I couldn't get involved in the plot. I thought it was well made, but just not for me. So I don't think it's a bad film by any stretch of the imagination, but like I said, just not for me. Maybe I will rewatch it when I'm more in the mood for it. Maybe I wasn't in the right state of mind for it. And the last film I'm going to talk about this month is Possession. So I've heard so much about Possession for years and I haven't really ever tracked it down. And then it came up on BFI Player in November and I kept going, I'm going to watch it, I'm going to watch it, I'm going to watch it, and I couldn't really get myself into it. And then I just decided this month I was going to sit down, tear off the band-aid and just watch it and see what everyone was freaking out about. And I don't know what I expected, but I didn't expect that. I can certainly see why it's become a cult movie. I think it's horrific, but it's also ridiculous at the same time. The performances by young Sam Neill and the other actors, they're all just so over the top. Just the plot line was just over the top. Like, I'm glad I watched it, but I finished it and it was like, I don't know how I feel. I don't know what to take from it. I don't know how to feel. It's really a story that just draws you in for like the entire, I can't even remember how long it is, 2.5 hours that you're watching it. And then after it I just was like, don't know how I feel. I still don't know how I feel about it. Like, I'm glad I watched it. I'm glad that I finally got around to seeing this like seminal text that everyone goes on about, but like, really just threw me for a bit. I don't know what I expect. Maybe I should have done some research on it, honestly, because I don't know what I went in thinking it was going to be, but I didn't think it was that. I would definitely say if you enjoy like graphic horror, body horror, I would watch it. If you don't, I would stay away from it, because I knew it was going to be graphic to a degree. I didn't expect everything that happened in it. And it's quite violent as well, so if that's like a trigger for you, I wouldn't watch it. But I thought, like, looking back, I don't regret watching it. I think I enjoyed it. So that's basically what I watched in January. So the films and TV series. I quite like going through and explaining why I enjoyed the media that I'm consuming. So I will probably do more of these in the future. I'm not entirely sure. So thank you for watching. Bye.